Hi guys, it's Roland here with Vortex Aquaponics, and I'm making another video here. This is my educational tutorial. I just want to show you what I know about aquaponics and what I teach in the schools about cooperative systems, food security, and a little bit about permaculture. So first things first, this here is an aquaponics system. Aquaponics is a way of growing food in a soilless medium, so I'm using expanded clay pellets. You don't have to use that. You can use many different, you can grow in gravel if you want. But this grows with just fish wastewater. So the way that this works is, we have a fish tank down below here, and it's a 20-gallon fish tank, and it's subdivided by a piece of plexiglass, which makes a sump tank in the back and a fish tank in the front. Now the pump, there's a little electric pump, and it's pumping water up into the grow bed through this hose here. And it pretty much it always has water flowing into it. And it has something called a bell siphon, which is simply just a configuration of piping inside the grow bed. And every time the grow bed gets to about this height, it will automatically flush and drain, as it's doing right now, back into the fish tank. And it introduces all this current and all the bubbles for the fish. And I'm just going to feed these little guys because that's why they're gathering around. They know it's breakfast. So let's just give them a little bit of food. On a commercial level, when we do large-scale aquaponics, we can grow a lot of food. We can also use fish that we might harvest after, like trout or tilapia or perch. We can even grow crawfish. Anything that produces ammonia in the water will then be able to provide the nutrients, because the basic premise is that these guys are polluting the water with ammonia, and in a regular fish tank there'd have to be a filter on there, and you'd have to change out their water every now and then so they didn't poison themselves in ammonia. But in this system, we want that ammonia, we encourage it, and so what happens is that ammonia-rich water pumps into the grow bed, and there's bacteria, naturally occurring bacteria, that live on the expanded clay pellets. And they eat the ammonia and turn it into nitrite. And then another bacteria eats that one and turns it into nitrate. Nitrates are plant food. And so this is a symbiotic system where the fish provide the nutrients and the plants become a biofilter and clean the water for the fish. So I like to talk, it's also a cooperative system, and I like to talk about cooperative systems in nature, how the bees work with the flowers, or how the birds eat the berries and drop them in a field and grow new plants. And there's so many cooperative systems, the water cycle, everything is cooperative. Everything on this earth that Mother Nature made works in a cooperative way. And so if we copy nature, biomimicry, which is one of the principles in permaculture, we always thrive, and that's the idea. And this is what our ancestors did as well. No matter where we're from on this earth, our ancestors lived cooperatively. They lived in a tribal-like setting, they lived in a clan, and they cooperated, and that was the only way that we could survive. And I think with this shift that's happening now, we're starting to realize it's bringing us back to our roots, and I believe it's going to make us a little bit more community-minded. So one of the things I do when I go into schools and I teach about this is I get the kids to go grocery shopping with mom and dad and bring home the foods that they buy, and have a look at the labels on those foods and see where they came from. And then have a look at a world map or an atlas and put a pin where that food came from and draw a line, see how far it has to come to get to us. If we get kiwis from New Zealand, for example, they have to get on a boat and travel from New Zealand for several weeks until it gets to Vancouver. Then it gets on a truck and gets shipped to our grocery store here in the Okanagan. Then we drive to the grocery store to pick it up. There's a lot of carbon that goes into the air. There's a lot of resources that goes into bringing our food to us. And what we're seeing with the shift that we're going through is that globalization is not working. Getting our stuff from all over the world, it's great and it's nice to have that stuff, but what we're seeing is when those food supply lines get cut off and things change, we're back to basics and we have to supply our own food. And with aquaponics, we can grow our food sometimes up to twice as fast as conventional soil gardening, and it uses 90% less water. That's a big deal. And there's several different ways of growing in aquaponics. This is a flood and drain system where the full grow bed is filled with expanded clay pellets. There's other types of systems, and I will show you a few pictures, where the food just grows on rafts. And it just sits on the fish water, and this is commercial aquaponics. We can grow large amounts of food using a lot less water, okay? Here's another picture, and these ones I take to the schools, and I show the kids what's possible. And another thing I teach about is passive solar greenhouses. And here we go. Here's a picture of a passive solar greenhouse. And passive just means that somebody else is doing the work for you. So passive solar means that the sun is heating up this greenhouse, and you can see that it's dug into the ground about 3 or 4 feet. This was made here in Vernon, and at 20 below zero, it's basically room temperature inside without adding any heat. So the glass is at about a 62-degree angle, it's facing south-southeast, and he's growing in aquaponics in there year-round with a big tank full of trout, and that water is being pumped into grow beds inside. So that's pretty neat, and our ancestors in this area, they knew about digging into the ground and taking advantage of the geothermal effect, and they built pit houses. So they dug into the ground, and they put logs up into a sort of a cone-style roof, and they had a single entrance and a ladder down into that pit house. And they lived in there for the whole winter, and they lived in larger groups. So again, that cooperative and communal style, that's the way we get things done. That's how humanity can come together and be resilient and get through this and actually have an actual gain from this, which is that we're going to come back to our roots. We're going to come back to simpler times where we don't need stuff from all over the world. We've got what we need here. So let's have another look at this system, you guys. This system here is actually being sold, so I'm taking it apart today. I do sell these systems here, but it's made out of repurposed materials, and that's one thing I want to showcase. Just how inexpensive we can. You can build your own system, and I totally suggest that people do. Basically, this tank costs like $30. There's a $60 pump down there, another $30 or so worth of plexiglass that's repurposed. The ornaments and gravel inside are a few dollars from the thrift shop. This is a repurposed hose from a shower head, and the plumbing parts are new, and they cost a few dollars. The expanded clay pellets, and I will show you what these look like so you have an idea. These expanded clay pellets are just puffed up balls of clay. They're very porous, so there's a lot of room for bacteria to live on the surface. And as I mentioned, that bacteria eats the ammonia. So in a system like this, where it's full of expanded clay pellets, another thing that we can do when the system is up and running and it's been built up with the nutrients is we add a handful of red wiggler worms to the system. We just put them in here. The top 2 inches of our expanded clay pellets doesn't get flooded and drained. The water level comes up just below that. And the reason is so we don't get collar rot on our plants. So the worms live in that top couple of inches that don't get flooded, and they eat the excess fish waste, and then they do their own thing in there, which is worm castings, right? That adds extra mineral salts to the, make it a more soil-like environment. And yeah, this is just a few things about aquaponics I wanted to teach you guys. This system here I planted with lettuce, leeks, kale, pak choi, tomatoes, a couple of different kinds of peppers, and yeah, I think that's about it. This is I bought these as starter plants from a greenhouse here in Vernon, and they were just little guys like this. And so this is about 2 weeks of growth, and you can see like it has grown, probably 6 inches or so in the last 2 weeks. So it's doing really well. And this system really isn't cycled up totally. It's only been running for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks altogether, so it will build up more nutrients over time. So guys, I do want to keep the video somewhat short, but I just wanted to get you thinking. And basically, if you find this interesting, like and share it, and get back to me in the comment section. Yeah, I basically just want to let people know what's possible, and on a larger scale what we can do. I think that the most important thing is to be growing our own food right now, so building garden boxes in the backyard and get growing. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope this is helpful. Have a great day.